So my name is Yokiko Hayashi-Sugil. I work at the Washington Student Achievement Council. I work with the College Bound Scholarship, and with me I have two colleagues.
I'm Janice Ackelson, OSPI, School Counseling Program Supervisor.
And Emily Weber, Elementary Counselor in Tumwater, and I'm also the Elementary Vice President for the Washington School Counselor Association.
Okay, so now we're going to get started. I want to thank you for joining us. It's Happy New Year, and ready to get into our fourth Wednesday webinar of the year. Today we're going to be focusing on the K-12 career and college readiness with a focus on our younger students or the elementary school students. But as you can see, we have Wednesday webinars slotted for the rest of the academic year, but we really want to take a chance to thank our partners, OSPI, Washington Student Achievement Council. We've been working collaboratively on providing this resource to you, to counselors, for 3 years now, and we do this with feedback from you, making sure that we're providing you with the information and resources that you need. So we're really happy to have you here. And we're ready to get started. So today's webinar is really focused on encouraging students to be college and career ready, but starting at that elementary level. And why is that important? Because we want to be able to have students understand themselves and to be able to kind of explore a little bit more, think about connecting what they want to do now and sort of that future planning. And that's really important because a lot of students these days aren't necessarily connecting where they are in elementary school to where their future can take them. And we want to be able to draw that connection in so students can really forecast and see what their future can be with a little bit of extra planning and a little bit of extra nurture and love from counselors.
Thanks, Yokiko. You know, the College Board has 3 different booklets. This is one of the best college and career readiness resources to help you plan. And these 15-page booklets break down the components of college and career planning at each level. So we know that planning programs at the elementary, middle, and high school have similar themes, but this resource shows how to work developmentally appropriate activities at each level. So we know that there are multiple pathway options based on students' career interests that include enrolling in community colleges, technical college programs, 4-year colleges, industry standard certificate programs, apprenticeship programs, which we're hearing a lot more about these days, internships, on-the-job training, and military training programs. And when students are given guidance along the way, they can discover who they are, who they want to become. And it's up to us as educators and counselors, of course, to guide students by providing them the information so they can develop a meaningful and intentional personal plan of action. But that takes time and energy, and it also takes resources. So, you know, under the resources, as you probably know, the High School and Beyond Plan is a graduation requirement that's been in place since 2009. But this school year, under House Bill 2224, new requirements have been added for all students that start in middle school. So we know that many of you have been working really hard this year on your High School and Beyond plan to make sure that you are meeting those requirements so that every student is helped. So where do we start? At every level, we begin with the basics. First, who am I? By answering this question, students learn about themselves and become aware of the world of work. During the early grades, students begin to think about the concepts of work, the numerous work opportunities available for their future, and students take required career-rated assessments during the middle grades. And then next is, where am I going? By answering this question, students will explore and investigate the world of work to discover which career, based on previous assessments and experiences, would best fit them as an individual. And how am I going to get there? By answering this question, students begin to develop a plan to manage previous information and to continue to gather career-related information. I really believe that a systemic approach, coupled with the development of an educational plan along the way, can result in higher student achievement and more qualified workforce. So, you know, we hear kids say when they're younger, oh, you know, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be a famous musician. And while they might, we want to make sure that they have a backup plan. And so, or I always used to say to students, well, what if you break your leg? You know, you couldn't play baseball. So you want to have a backup plan. So you don't want to, you know, make sure that their dreams aren't diminished. You want to have them dream big, but you also want to help them be realistic. So I just wanted to mention the guidance curriculum. I continue to think that everybody knows about this resource, but along my travels across the state, sometimes I run across people who say, oh, I've never heard of Career Guidance Washington. So I just wanted to tell you that we do have 30 lessons per grade that start in 6th grade, goes through 12th grade with high school and beyond plan templates. And this, speaking of high school and beyond plan, this is the template. This is a copy of it, and it does house all the requirements and gives simple, easy to use free resources for each of the elements. So when you think about what's ahead for our students in the future, you know, the demands of the 21st century require a new approach to education to fully prepare students for college, career, and citizenship. Research, practice, and common sense confirm that the whole child approach to education will develop and prepare students for the challenges and opportunities of today and tomorrow. The whole child approach addresses students' comprehensive needs through shared responsibility of students, families, schools, and communities. Whether it's instruction, school climate, leadership, family engagement, or any of the issues schools face on a daily basis, all educators can access information like this to help them improve their actions and what they want to do in the future. So you can see this is a list of jobs predicted to grow between now, well, actually last year, and the year before, and 2026. And that sounds like a long way away, but I know when you're an elementary counselor, for example, you might be thinking about what year will your students graduate. And so 2026 really isn't that far away. We look at national career development guidelines for every level. And so for high school, this is full of growth, promise, excitement, and hope. It's a time when students begin to discover what their future holds for them more clearly. High school counselors have an impact on these years by implementing a comprehensive school counseling program where they collaborate with school staff, parents, and community to create a safe and respectful learning environment where students feel free to talk about their dreams and aspirations. So for each of the levels, we'll see on the slides about self-knowledge, educational and occupational exploration, and career planning for their next post-secondary step. So some graduates will be able to enter and succeed in entry-level post-secondary courses without the need for remediation. But we know that a mastery of rigorous knowledge and skills in core academic disciplines is really needed. They're foundational, and students are often asked to demonstrate these competencies and subjects before they can even enter a 2-year or 4-year college, or for certain job and training programs, apprenticeship programs, or even the military. The skills and dispositions necessary to be successful in charting a post-secondary path really might be obtained through academics. So they might have a favorite teacher or a favorite course that will lead them to something that they're interested in. Successful participation in post-secondary opportunities through advanced coursework or dual credit, as well as career and technical education, the CTE courses, work-based learning, or other opportunities for exploring their interests, aptitudes, and setting their goals. So here are some activities for college and career readiness for high school. And I know that many of you high school counselors do this and much, much more. So we consider this to be a short list. Many schools utilize the High School and Beyond plan as the basis for their work that might occur in the Career Center. And we'll be sending this PowerPoint to you, so you will have access to all of these resources at your fingertips once this webinar is over. So here are some other ideas for high school. Connecting with other agencies such as the Washington Student Achievement Council, the Washington College Access Network, WACAN, or Workforce Training and Education Coordinating Board are just a few that have ready-made products and activities for high school people to utilize. You know, Christina Winstead from Student Achievement Council does the 12th year campaign, and I've heard her talk about how, you know, she has all these PowerPoints and resources, and she runs across school counselors who say, oh, I'm putting together this PowerPoint about financial aid, and she'll say, well, we already have one. So don't forget about that as you're starting to look at resources. So I don't know if you've heard, but the Washington Council for High School and College Relations has announced their college planning days. They actually announced these back in November. We did send them out on our listserv, but we wanted to show you these again. This is an opportunity and a chance for your high school sophomores, juniors, and undecided seniors to get on college campuses to learn about all of Washington State's higher education options. And the registration is on the screen. It's at the Washington Council. And we hope that you will get a lot of kids out for this opportunity. So now let's talk about middle school for a minute. Research has identified middle school as a time when students can greatly benefit from career exploration, a process of building self-awareness, learning about potential careers, and developing a plan for reaching future goals. The career exploration activities engage middle school students at a time when they're at a high risk for disengaging from learning due to their own challenges, I should say, in forming their own identity and navigating new environments. And I know as a former school counselor, I've spent many years as a middle school counselor, and it's really not too early for them to start setting some goals, some realistic goals for themselves. And the National Career Development Guidelines say that middle school is a natural time for students to learn about careers and develop skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and interrelationships. So here are some activities for college and career readiness for middle school. ASCA, the American School Counselor Association, tells us that middle school students are characterized by rapid physical growth, curiosity about their world, and emerging self-identification. Middle school counselors have an impact on these years by implementing a comprehensive school counseling program and collaborating with school staff, parents, and the community to create a safe and respectful environment where these young adolescents can maximize personal and academic achievement. Here are some ideas for middle school. These are just a few ideas, and I know that many of you have other things that you're doing, and some of you might have a program in your school called AVID, A-V-I-D, and in AVID for middle school and high school, it's a class actually, and they do a lot of other things. So you could look at some resources on that website to find out other things. But middle school counselors enhance the learning process and promote academic, career, and social-emotional development along the way. And the programs in school counseling are essential for students to achieve optimal personal growth, acquire positive social skills, and to be ready for high school. So this really was just announced a couple weeks ago. We've sent this on the school counselor listserv, but this is the 8th grade college planning days. And I mentioned 8th grade, not 6th grade, not 7th grade, not 9th grade, but they want it to be for 8th graders. The Washington Council 8th grade events are designed to introduce 8th graders to available options for continuing their education after high school. Students rotate through a series of small group sessions, which are designed to be interactive as well as educational. And it goes from 9 a.m. to 12:45. Please note that school districts are responsible for transportation and cost, and we encourage the students to bring their own brown bag lunch. This event itself is free. Space is limited and may be capped per district. So if you're interested, you need to get registered right away. And the contact site and coordinator is on our screen for you to see. So now we're going to talk about elementary for a moment. Elementary time is a time of accelerated change and development for students. There is a constant process for assessing their concept of self-competence as learners in relationship to their peers. The goal of elementary school counselors is to lay the foundation for our youth to grow and fill positions of the next generation of citizens. And we do have here Emily Weber, an elementary counselor who introduced herself earlier. She's from Tumwater Hill Elementary School in Tumwater, and she's going to go into a lot more detail. And I told her before we started that this is really the heart of our webinar today.
All right, so thank you again for joining us. So as you know, as elementary school counselors, we are building the foundation for students' future and later career and college exploration. So during our youngest students' earliest days in school, we focus a lot on helping them become learners and teaching them what that looks like and what it doesn't look like. We help them recognize emotions in themselves and in others. And these social emotional skills develop further into resilience and problem solving, which then become an ability for students to overcome challenges. So as our students in elementary school develop resilience, they're better able to challenge themselves academically and set challenging goals and really start to think about where they want to go in their future. So as leaders in our buildings, we have to run our comprehensive counseling programs through the lens that all students can and will become college and career ready. So this has to be infused in our school counseling program and in the daily operations of our school building. We really want to have that college going culture just be a part of who we are as a school. So as Denise had mentioned, we've got the guiding questions: who am I, where am I going, and how am I going to get there? These questions can guide our work with elementary students as well. So we might focus primarily on the first two questions as we help students explore who they are as learners and to develop curiosity about their world. However, all three questions are still guiding our practice with students. So sometimes our college and career readiness activities look like us directly teaching lessons in classrooms or having conversations directly with students and parents. But sometimes we work on college and career readiness indirectly through collaboration with staff for our students instead of directly with them. We can't do any of our work on an island, as you know. We want to run our counseling programs that are comprehensive and preventive. So we have to be able to work as a team with our school staff members, and that includes certificated and classified staff members. There are lots of ways to incorporate college and career readiness into what our classroom teachers are already doing. So I just have two examples listed here. There are tons of ways that you can do this, but for example, I know in my building in the fall, we have the fire department come visit kindergarten and first grade actually, and they're doing a lot of conversations about safety and community helpers. Well, that ties in really naturally with a conversation or even a lesson about careers in fire safety. We also have a science fair in my building in the spring, like many buildings, I'm sure. That ties in nicely with talking about STEM careers. You could easily bring in community presenters to talk at an assembly, or even have them be at the science fair as your judges and really getting to know your students and talking to students about careers in that way as well. So the National Office of School Counselor Advocacy has developed 8 components of college and career readiness. So there's a link there directly to that guide, and I know Denise mentioned this as well. So there is a guide specifically for elementary school counselors. It helps us understand how college and career readiness fits into a K-12 system. So it includes lots of ideas for using data and how to work on college and career readiness with students within our building, in our district, and then also taking it out into our community. It's a really great resource. There are 8 components overall for K-12 counselors. However, as elementary counselors, we focus just on components 1 through 6. So I'm kind of using those components today as the outline for my upcoming slides. So I'll kind of go over what each of the components is, what it can look like in the classroom and your building, but really take the time to look at that resource. There's a lot of great information there. So here are the first 6 components of the 8. So these are the 6 that elementary counselors are focusing on. So the first one, college aspirations. So recently, I had heard that the definition of an aspiration is having hope plus a plan, which I think is really powerful because we do tell our students a lot to dream big, but I think also our work with students needs to include helping them have a plan for that big dream. So when we think about our work with the youngest students, so we're not talking about specifics about scholarships or what they want to major in, but rather they're introducing them to school, to what it means to be a learner, to what it means to function appropriately within a school system. We're helping them make and keep friends. So we may not initially see these skills as being directly related to college and career readiness, but they definitely are. These are some of the foundational skills that later become resilience and goal setting, which we know are crucial to our students as they really begin to explore what college and career readiness means for them and their future. So as we work to intentionally build a college-going culture in our school for all students, we explicitly teach and reinforce expected behaviors. So we challenge our students academically in a variety of ways, and in doing so, we're helping them build resilience and develop a strong, genuine connection to school. So as we think about our students' future aspirations, we can look at data points like school attendance and discipline, which help us get a good idea of how connected and engaged students are in school, which are indicators for future college and career readiness. So throughout these slides, you'll see book covers. These are just some of my favorite books that I love to use with students for college and career readiness as well. So moving on. So what can this first component look like in the classroom and in our school building? So I know I work a lot with my third graders before testing on growth mindset and perseverance and problem solving. With the older students, we start to talk more specifically about time management. So these are just a few examples of topics that fit in with the social emotional learning, but also really do directly tie into college and career readiness. So school-wide, our efforts around school expectations and attendance and PBIS, they really set the tone for our students to aim high. So the two pictures you see on the right there are just examples of something that we did in my building around attendance. So these are signs that we have posted where students and families check in and out for the day. So they're right in our front office. So every day we write the percentage of students that were at school on time. And we also have another sign where we write the percentage of students that were at school until the end of the day. And then we just have a sign that says that we're really happy that we're here. So this is just kind of some good publicity for school attendance. We're helping students and families really see that school connection and being at school are some of those key components. So another thing that we did is we just reworded our hall pass. Initially, or a couple of years ago, it said, it has check boxes for different reasons, and one of the reasons that students would use the pass for when they got to school late was tardy. So we changed that checkbox, so now it just says we're really happy that you're here. So just little easy changes really make the attendance piece more positive. One thing that also just came to mind, we've got the Olympics starting soon, so I love all of the videos and the backstories of all of the athletes, and those are really great little things that you can use as tools in your lessons for perseverance, growth mindset, setting goals. I mean, it's kind of a perfect opportunity to incorporate some of that as well. So component number 2 is academic planning for college and career readiness. So this component focuses on challenging students with rigorous academic programs connected to their college and career aspirations. And remember, aspirations equals hope plus a plan. So we know that students reading at grade level by grade 3 are more likely to experience academic success and many other positive outcomes. So think about how we as a system can set students up for challenging academic experiences now, so they have more college and career opportunities later on. So school-wide, systems should be in place to really maximize students' opportunities for academic support. So as counselors, again, we're leaders in our buildings, and we should really be part of those building level conversations about academic groupings and use of academic data to support students. So we can encourage staff members to work together, if they aren't already, to support college and career efforts in all areas of our students' days. When we look at the transition from elementary to middle school, we have a great opportunity to encourage students to try new things, to explore interests, and to challenge themselves. So this is that vertical alignment piece where we should team with our middle school colleagues to help students have a supportive and effective transition. Component number 3, enrichment and extracurricular engagement. So in-school programs can look like older students mentoring younger students, having buddy readers or student leadership opportunities. Those all help students practice and refine their leadership skills. But our students, as we know, can gain college and career readiness knowledge and experiences outside of the school day as well. So it's helpful for us to be knowledgeable of our community's extracurricular activities and to reach out and encourage our students and families to participate. We often can help with securing funding or financial assistance for families who need it. But students can learn tremendous life skills through participation in activities such as clubs, sports, scouts, etc. My school has several programs in place to support students' leadership and school engagement. So we have buddy readers that are coordinated through our 5th grade teachers. So that would be students assigned to work with kindergarten and 1st grade classes. So that's a great mentorship opportunities. We also have 5th graders that have various jobs around school helping teachers. And we also have them work as assembly helpers. So we have some students who are greeters for our assemblies and concerts, and they hand out the agenda or the program, welcome community members and families to our school. And then we also have students that go to a kindergarten class before the assembly and then walk with them with that class to the assembly and sit with them to kind of model what assembly behavior looks like in our building. Another example, this was actually a teacher's idea and we've kind of taken it and run with it. In November, as you know, in Washington, we have the Apple Cup football game between UW and WSU. So we do a food drive during the first 2 weeks of November before that game. So we work with our local food bank. Our students have made donation boxes, posters to promote the event. They make morning announcements. The food drive takes place during fall conferences. So we have parents in and out of the building a lot who are seeing what's going on. It's a great way to include information about UW and WSU. It's working with our community, it's community service, and it's also a leadership opportunity for our students. And as you can imagine, it turns into some great staff morale because of how strongly people feel about the school that they went to. So we've had spirit days, and it's just kind of a fun competition. And just for the record, UW has won the past 4 years in my building.
Oh, wait.
So it gets pretty competitive, All right, so component number 4, college and career exploration and selection process. So here we're talking about helping students with making informed decisions. So we know that students in the younger grades are not committing to a future college specifically, but we can teach them problem solving and decision-making skills that will help them make their own personal college and career decisions later on. So we really want to give elementary students as much exposure to college and career readiness as we can while they're in elementary school. So through our use of college and career language, having high expectations, exposing them to the world of work, we're giving them opportunities to think about their interests and how those interests might fit in with the world. We can help students with identifying areas of interest and skills. We can help them learn about career and college options as they start to sort out where they might want their interests and skills to take them. So lots of things that you can do in this area in the classroom. With 5th graders, I like to do interest assessments. And in a couple slides, I'll talk about what I do specifically with the results of that. But you really can have great conversations with kids about traditional and non-traditional careers, public versus private college, apprenticeships, military, all sorts of different things that you can talk about with students. I know one of my 5th grade teachers has her students do like a college research project, and they do some research online and write about the school, and they make pennants and all of that. So there are lots of things that you can do to really just expose students to what's out there as they start figuring out, those guiding questions, who they are and where they want to go. School-wide, lots of fun things you can do with this. In March, there's the NCAA basketball tournament that's happening, March Madness. So there's lots of information about colleges on the news, and kids, if they're into sports, they're really into the brackets and the games and the school. So that's a great opportunity to turn that into even a whole month focused on college if you wanted to. So in the past, I've even put a bracket up. I've made little posters for each of the schools that are in the tournament. Lots of things you can do with that. I do a career day in my building in the spring. So I invite community presenters to come to that. The bulletin board that you see pictured is something that I had done a couple of years ago, where we have staff schools represented. So it's a map of the US, and we have lots of different colleges where our staff members had gone. And if you do something like this, you want to make sure that you're including your classified staff as well, just to really get a good representation of all different types of schools and programs. And the students loved that we had pictures of staff members from when they were in college on that bulletin board as well. So that was kind of fun. All right, component number 5, college and career assessments. So lots of different examples online, different resources for types of interest assessments. And so something that I like to do is to do the interest assessment with classroom lessons with our 5th graders. And then I use those results to help guide the presenters and the options that I'm scheduling for our career day that happens a month or so after the students take the assessment. So it's just a good tool to help students really see where their interests are. And a lot of times the results can be kind of surprising. They think they're interested in one thing, but the results might say something else. So that just helps with good conversation. I think also it's good timing if you're doing this with your older students who are transitioning to middle school, because likely students will have a choice of some kind in their elective course offering. So it's good conversation just to help guide that conversation about what classes they might want to take if they do have a choice. So here are 2 links of different interest assessments, but like I said, there are lots available online. And you can use the results really to have conversations about career clusters. You can have announcements about career clusters. A bulletin board was pictured on the previous slide. And you know, it's a different type of assessment. I think students take a lot of assessments, but this is a different kind. It's about them. And so I think it also can be a good conversation just about assessments can look different, and it can help them maybe develop some positive feelings about the assessment process. So the last component that elementary counselors focus on is college affordability planning. So this would look like conversations about finances, money, budgeting, income, expenses, etc. So that can start young. I know my building works with junior achievement, and we have some different community presenters come in to talk to students about communities, their place in the community, what financial literacy can look like. So all of those are those building blocks for conversations about that will happen later with financial aid and paying for school. Okay, so we just have some ideas listed here for incorporating college and career activities into your building. You can name different classrooms after colleges or universities. You can have pennants outside of classrooms to represent where your staff members attended. That's something I had done in my last building, actually. I had written a letter and requested pennants, and for the most part, schools sent free pennants. You know, so we were able to have lots of cool college representation all around our building. You can have students really get to know their graduation year. You can have door decorating contests, spirit days. There are lots of different things that you can do. So here are some links for some different resources. Definitely don't be afraid to look at other states' programs for ideas. There are lots of great resources. ASCA, of course, has lots of resources as well. There are Facebook groups for elementary school counselors, lots of resource sharing, question and answer. I've actually gotten lots of great ideas from that as well. So take some time and look at these links. You'll find lots of resources. The National Association for College Admission Counseling has some elementary curriculum and lessons. Really great ways to get into the classroom and start talking about some of those foundational skills. I know the ASCA School Counselor magazine from November and December was focused all on college and career readiness, so take a look at that as well, and they've got webinars on demand on their website. And I've listed 2 books that I use in my daily practice as well, just with some different ideas and examples for incorporating college and career readiness. Teachers Pay Teachers and Pinterest, of course, are good resources as well.
Well, thank you, Emily, for your very thorough and practical list and resources and the way you explained it. I know that one of the things that I saw one time was I went into an elementary school, and there was this bulletin board right when you walked in the front door, and each of the students in this the 5th grade, had on the school color of the cap and gown of the high school, and under each one it had what they wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you know, a real good visual for people coming into the building, but also something that the students were really proud of. So I know that you are full of ideas, and I hope that all of you will utilize these things that Emily's talked about, and we really appreciate you being here with us today. So we'll just continue with some other resources. One of the things that we also know is that Washington College Access Network has a new booklet called College Knowledge. And here's the address to get that booklet. I know they worked really hard over a number of years with a lot of student input for this College Knowledge that was actually made for college-bound scholarship programs, but anyone can access it. And there's the address. And then OSPI has the College Readiness Initiative. We have some results that you might, if you're looking for some research-based information, you could go there. And we will be posting some additional things later this month. And then, you know, just wanted to mention that the design components for college and career readiness in middle school has to do with advisory, student-led conferences, student-informed or student-driven scheduling that's connected to the registration process, having a curriculum that you utilize, and then making that a personalized learning plan, which of course results into the high school beyond plan, and then collecting data and doing evaluations so that you are using your evidence-based school counseling practices. This, well, we're going to pause for questions, and seeing none, we will move along. But if you do have questions, please do type those into the chat box, and Kiko and Emily and I will answer them for you. We will now share some tools and resources. The first is the Comprehensive K-12 School Counseling and Guidance Program model, which helps schools further develop their overall counseling programs. And this state model is based around our 3 domains of academic achievement for evidence-based practices, career and college readiness, and social emotional support. The March regional workshops, the registration for those will be coming out in the next couple of days, but I just wanted to mention this is brand new, and it is joint effort between WACAMP, the Washington College Access Network, and Washington Student Achievement Council, and OSPI, and we will be focusing on resources and tools and data that will help to identify strategies for incorporating school counseling with college and career readiness. And we will also be looking at some college and career readiness trainings and the results of that and how to implement using some of these ideas. And also there will be a wealth of financial aid information. Each workshop is 8:30 to noon. Excuse me, 8:30 to 3:30. And the registration will be coming soon on the Washington Student Achievement Council site. And we will also be sending out the information on the OSPI listserv. And I said 8:30 a.m., but I'll have to check. It could be 8. But anyway, I'll be sending this out in the next couple of days. And we also have some other monthly webinars through GATE, Graduation of Team Effort, that focuses on evidence-based school counseling. And you might want to tune into some of those. At each of these webinars, like this one, we like to focus on a practical aspect, having someone from a school or an agency really get to the heart of the matter with practical information for everyone. And so Yokiko is looking at our questions here to see.
Yeah, so the first question we have is, can you talk a little more about the 8th grade college planning days? And the specific ask is, which students would be best to attend?
Okay, so the 8th grade college planning days are open to all of your 8th graders in your school. So, you know, I think it's really important. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, the first time I went on a college campus, I was probably in early high school, and it was very exciting to think about my future. And so really it's up to your school. How many kids can you take? Can you, you know, see if you can take all of your 8th graders. But that would be a decision that you could make at your school. Of course, you have to have your parent permission, and you have to provide transportation. but it's really open to any of your students that you would like to have participate. There is no particular criteria.
I have another question. Do you know of any districts that have built a vertically aligned set of lessons that span K through 12, a few lessons for K, 1, 2, 3, etc.?
Well, Franklin Pierce School District has a wealth of information. They have elementary lessons, and I've been given permission to share those. So I have their old lessons. I don't have their updated ones. You would have to contact them for that. But we know about Franklin Pierce. Clover Park School District does also a really good job of middle school and high school vertical teaming for college and career readiness. I'm sure there's many other school districts who are doing a good job, but off the top of my head, those are the two that come to mind. And it sounds like Tumwater is doing a really good job as well.
I think Tumwater is, we're working toward it. We don't have anything set in stone quite like Franklin Pierce or some other districts, but definitely would recommend looking to those districts for what they have been using for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, how do students learn about the myriad of post-secondary options that require 2-year degrees, certificate programs, or apprenticeships if they all hear about the beginning? If all they hear about in the beginning in elementary school is college, with that interpreted to be universities with t-shirts and mascots?
Okay. Well, we're really making an effort to cover what we mean by college. And so we put college in parentheses, and we say that means certificate programs, apprenticeships, internships. And so it's up to us to educate our students that college doesn't just mean a 4-year college or a 2-year college. And so I'm sure Emily has some other ideas that she's actually probably doing.
And I think this too, if you're doing anything with your staff, like a bulletin board or announcements or pennants or anything, it's important, I think, to include your classified staff because most likely some of them will represent different types of programs beyond a traditional 4-year. And that's really where a lot of our students are headed, and that's just a great option too. Mm-hmm. So I think it really is important to communicate that college is not always a 4-year university. So that's a great question.
And high schools are doing Declaration Day or College Day. What is it called with Walk-In there?
Oh, College Signing Day.
College Signing Day, like the sports signing day. And I know in seeing pictures and talking to them, to these schools, you will see everything under the sun about all the different options that students actually are going to with their pennants for things, or a sign. They make handmade signs sometimes. And so if you are one of those schools who has that activity, make sure you are including everyone. I know some schools have a big sign they put up in the hall in June, like, what are you going to do, all the seniors? What are you going to do after high school? And so I really think it's up to us to not make kids feel they're lesser than if they say, hey, I'm going to do on-the-job training, or because some of those folks might end up making a lot more money than a person who might have a master's degree. So it really depends on what's in their heart and what their aspirations are. And that's really what we need to concentrate on and make everyone feel valued for what they want to do in the future.
Yeah, and I think with the Walk-In outreach that they've been doing for end of the year celebrations, they've been calling it Senior Signing Day, so that way it's inclusive. So instead of just saying College Signing Day, they say Senior Signing Day, because then students, whomever they are, for whatever option they're choosing, it leaves it very open for them to explore a little bit more. So the next question we have, if you're filling out the high school and beyond plan online, are schools required to print those out yearly and keep them with student records?
It's really up to your individual school district as how you want to document that. The state only requires that on the transcript, they're under the milestones in the right bottom corner for the high school beyond plan, met or not met is the only requirement. However, that being said, if there was someone who had a question a few years later, or an auditor came to you, you want to make sure that you do have, best practice would say you would have some documentation of met or not met.
And I believe this question is for you. It says, have you ever used career cruising, and if so, how beneficial has it been for your students?
I have not ever used it. I believe, is that a subscription?
It is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I've worked as an elementary counselor in Franklin Pierce and Tumwater school districts, and we did not have subscriptions to that. So I'm actually not super familiar with that.
There's a lot of good products that for-profit businesses have for our schools. Career Cruising, Navient, Voice, they're all very good, but we also have free state resources in our Career Bridge from the workforce, and of course the OSGI College and Career Readiness page. So, you know, we encourage schools to do whatever's going to work for their students.
And to put in a small plug for those college knowledge materials, what's really great about them is that they're colorful, they're vibrant, and they come as a pack of 23 if you want all of them together. But what WACAN has found through research is that students really want it in bite-sized chunks. So it does it in saying, like, what does college mean? What does financial aid mean? What does it mean to save? What does it mean to do high school planning? So it's kind of college and career readiness in a whole wrap package, but you can compartmentalize it and take out one piece, so you can sort of work individually with a student or your group of students to really incorporate one piece of the puzzle at a time. So it's really a lot more manageable rather than giving them a whole slew of bright colored pages and like figure it out. It allows students to kind of walk through the process and then gives you the resources, and it comes with a glossary. So it kind of outlines all of the common terms that they're going to hear from counselors, from college staff, and other administrators too.
It's a wonderful resource. I really encourage you, like I said, it's brand new. Really encourage you to take a look at that if you haven't already. And we will be sending some information out about college knowledge. And remember, when we say college, we mean more than just a 4-year or 2-year. We're talking about all the post-secondary options for students. Just want to mention also another online tool that you could have in your student information system. If you have Skyward, or even if you don't, you can have access to a free tool from WSIPSI. It's an online high school and beyond plan. So if you are wondering about that, if you haven't heard about it, you can email me and I would be happy to send you some more information. So we do have some other places where you can go for information. The News and More for school counselors, the listserv, that continues to grow. I think we have 4,800 people. There's only 2,500 counselors in our state, so we don't really know who else is on there, but we continue to send whatever it is that's out there that we think is of value to school counselors. So every time I send something, at least 1,500 to 2,000 counselors open it. So we know that that is a really good resource to get information out. We really appreciate you being here with us today. We will be sending this PowerPoint out to everyone probably tomorrow, so you can look at the resources, and Yokiko will make sure that this recording is on the Ready Set Grad at Washington Student Achievement Council, so that it is archived for people to see later. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for being here today.